All right, so we reviewed again how to use combining like terms and the distributive property. If we take a look at the basic operations of both, here's some example problems. When you're combining like terms, you're adding or subtracting terms that are the same, right? So the operations are addition, subtraction. When you are using the distributive property, and we draw these little arrows, right, you're using the operation of multiplication. So when we compare, according to the order of operations, multiplication is actually going to come before addition and subtraction. So we're going to follow that kind of thought pattern when we are seeing expressions that require you to do both. So you're going to want to use the distributive property first, because it's the operation of multiplication, before you then combine any like terms. So let's take a look at some examples. So example number 1 here, and this can be found in your packet, I believe on page 31. We see the expression 2 times the quantity 6x minus 4 plus x. So again, your multiplication is going to come first, which in our problem is the first half. We identify a distributive property with those parentheses or on more than one term. So looking to simplify here, we take that 2 and we multiply it by our 6x. So 2 times 6x is 12x. And then we take our 2 when we multiply it by, remember, taking the sign with that second term, 2 times negative 4, which is a negative 8. And again, when we put a negative 8 as part of an expression, it then kind of takes over and acts like subtraction, but same thing. And then if you notice, guys, I have this positive x kind of hanging out at the end. I don't want to distribute that 2 to it because it's its own term. It is not inside of my grouping. It's not inside the parentheses. So I do not multiply with my 2. It is just kind of extra, it's an extra term there. So if you notice, I'm just going to rewrite any extra terms, and this one happens to be at the end of my expression. So I multiplied first to get rid of those the distributive property, and then I just transferred over the plus x. From there, we're going to add and subtract. We're going to combine like terms that we see. So looking at the terms we have a 12x, we have a negative 8, and we have a positive x. So the two boxes that are alike up there would be our x terms there. 12x and just x is the same as 1x, so 12 plus 1, and again I'm adding, is 13x. Now that minus 8, negative 8, either way you look at it, doesn't have anybody to combine with, so we're just going to go ahead and rewrite it down below. From there, that's all we can do, guys. It is just an expression. I'm not solving. I cannot put these together further because one has an x and one has a regular integer value, not like terms. All right, let's take a look at number 2. The first thing we're going to do is distribute. Our distributing, again, is in the front part of our equation since we see those parentheses. Now, again, if you notice, I stopped my blue highlighting right after that 5 because that's where our distributing ends. So let's go ahead and multiply. So we're going to multiply that negative 2 times x, negative 2x. Then we're going to take our negative 2 and multiply it with our positive 5. So negative 2, positive 5 gives us a negative 10. And then if you notice again, similar situation, I have that negative 4x. That's just kind of a term hanging out the back end of my line. It just got rewrote there. Looking at my like terms, hopefully you can see here, colors definitely help. We have a negative 2x, a negative 10, and a negative 4x. Looking at like terms, again, this problem's kind of similar. I've got two x boxes, two terms that have an x, so putting this together, negative 2 minus 4 more gives us a negative 6x. And then that negative 10, that middle box doesn't even want to combine with, so it just drops down. So negative 6x minus 10 would be my final answer there. This last one can get a little tricky, and if you look at it, the first thing I want you to think about is what terms need to be distributed. Here's my parenthesis, right? Let me get my highlighter there again. Here's my parenthesis, so it's definitely part of my distributive. And if I look at the term out front, some might just say 3. But we've always talked about you include the sign with it. So in this case, we're going to multiply that negative 3 to the terms inside. So what does it leave? What's it do to this guy? He's my extra information. He's the term that's just hanging out in the front saying, hey guys, we don't need to distribute him. All right, so now let's get our distributing. Now we've talked about what we're distributing. We're going to take that negative 3 and multiply it by our x. Then we're going to take that negative 3 and multiply by -4. -3, -4 gives you a +12. Be careful we don't just put a 12 down. It's part of an expression. I need that connector in there. So you put your plus. Looking at my individual terms, hopefully you can see I have an x here. That's the same as 1x. And I have a -3x here. Those are like terms I can put together. So we've got our 1x minus 3x. 1 minus 3 is -2, and my x. And that +12 just jumps right on down. I can't combine it any further. It's not a like term with my x term, so I could stop right there. So today is just putting those two skills together, the like terms and distributive property. We reviewed this a little bit earlier in the school year. We got some of the kinks worked out, but definitely could use a little bit more work on it. So let's try some practice problems below. So there are 6 for your practice. They are on the bottom of the page. This would be your assignment, so go ahead and try those 6 problems. Reach out if you need any more help.